you, but welcome everyone. My name is Tony Lawrence. I'm the acting chair of Arts Taunton, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to this, our very first virtual open meeting. It's a year now since we had our last public meeting. You'll, of course, I'm sure, understand why. We're a little nervous about this one. We've never tried this before. So please bear with us if there are technical hitches as we go along. Just to explain to all of you, we've put you all on mute, at least we hope we have. We're recording the whole session, so if you don't want to be seen, not that you necessarily will, but switch off your cameras. We're going to be making some presentations about the work we've been doing over the past year and our plans and for the year ahead. There will be an opportunity after each of them for some questions. The best way of handling this, we think, is if you write your questions in the chat and put your hand up, you know, that icon. We'll try and pick it up. I either turn to you or I'll read out your question, and it may not be possible to get through all of them. We've timed our own material to last about an hour, just under, but with Q&As and so on, depending how many there are, it may tip over the hour. So thank you. It looks like we've got 60 participants. We had 80 down to join us, which is fantastic. We're delighted to quote, see you all. And without further ado, I want to go into the first item, which is about the Taika Festival, both what we did last year and our plans for this year. We're going to introduce it with a video interview between our trustee, Julie O'Donnell, and the festival director, Deborah Badu. We're doing this as a video because Julie couldn't join us today. But before that, we'll give you a very short show reel capturing the key events of last year's Taika. So thank you. No audio.
Good evening, my name is Ian McNeice, and it gives me great pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to Arts Taunton's Youth Festival, Taika 2020.
Yeah.
We hope you have enjoyed this year's festival. And of course, the beauty of it all is that you can enjoy it again and again and again by visiting the Taika Festival website. Thank you for being our audience. My name is Ian McNeice, and I have thoroughly enjoyed being the host for this event and sharing in this experience.
Very nice. And now I hope we'll go straight to the video interview between Deborah and Julie, assuming the technology works speedily enough to get it up on screen. Here we go.
I was so proud last year when I was standing at the public meeting, the Arts Taunton meeting, and I was talking about 2019's Taika, and I was thrilled at how it had gone. But honestly, I'm so much more proud this year of last year's Taika Festival. I mean, there were so many challenges that you had to overcome, not least the technical challenges, I know. And there were quite a few doubting Thomases, dare I say, who felt that we couldn't manage a virtual festival or that it wasn't a good idea. But, you know, it happened, and we're going to talk about how successful it was and how prophetic was your theme that you chose.
Yeah, it was like no other year we'd experienced, wasn't it? The festival theme, A Vision for the Future, was well placed because it gave young people an opportunity to express how they felt about the world at that time. And the topic was resonant on so many levels, and it enabled the young people to explore their creativity, where they were at the present time, and relate that to either a hopeful future or allow themselves to express their pessimism in their vision for the future and sort of face it head on, really.
Yeah. Well, what was your greatest challenge?
Well, the situation was so uncertain, as you said, so I had to rebudget the whole festival so that we could accommodate both an online festival if we needed to, but at the same time having a live festival on the back burner in case live performances could be allowed. Also, we had no experience in delivering an online event, so we had to overcome a steep learning curve to make it happen. Back in March, plans were underway and a skeleton festival plan was in place to be developed. Then when COVID-19 came into play, we all had to realign ourselves, but I feel pretty proud of all of us because in the face of adversity and in unknown territory, we rose to the occasion and engaged with young people all through lockdown and managed to deliver a full online festival.
So how did you go about building the programme for the festival?
Well, we'd already built up partners from the first festival, so I worked closely with them and new partners to explore what and how we could approach delivery online. But my quick response was that we had to engage young people right now through the arts at a difficult time. And so we launched a series of Taika challenges as a precursor to the festival itself, encouraging young people to reflect on how they felt in lockdown and to provide a creative outlet and activity for them to engage with. Because a lot of them were at home bored, in shock about what was happening. So we were able to offer some sort of lifeline to engage in creativity.
Yeah. So what impact did the workshops that you created and the festival activities have on young people? And did you get any direct feedback from them?
Yes, because the Taika challenges covered all kinds of themes ranging from masks, living in a restricted space, to the future of the climate and visions of a fairer society. And we invited responses through dance, music, written or spoken word, drawing or painting, or in fact any way they wanted to choose to engage. And the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. For example, during the Taika challenges, one person fed back that Taika led us to explore things beyond the box, to think fresh ideas that no one has ever done before. And another responded to the mask theme, not only to submit a winning design to the Taika challenge, but he actually started his own mini business, creating and selling his masks online. So it was a real sort of success. And it gave them something to look forward to and rise to a challenge and built their confidence.
Okay, so I think also there's another example, isn't there, where we had J.J. Hathaway, who is a young composer, and he's actually been asked to compose some music for a filmmaker along the way. And then we had Highwayman Films, I think it was, a young filmmaker, and he's actually had some commercial work as a result of all this, hasn't he?
Yes, I mean, as well as giving opportunities to young people, and especially at the time that because we also film the festival to go online in advance. So a lot of people, they'd never imagine that they could actually perform to a group of people live. So they were really excited about that. And we had a lot of good feedback about, for example, DJs. We work with Mammoth Sound, and they usually are in a club setting. And it's the first time they'd actually been out of their houses to actually play a DJ set. And other people, we work with fusion performers, and we had feedback from one of those saying having all the makeup, lighting, stage smoke and audience in the theatre was almost like stepping into the past. They felt emotional and thrilled to be one of the first to perform again after such challenging times. So as well as engage with young people, we were able to give young professionals, as you mentioned, Josh Hathaway and others who were showcased as part of the festival, in these times where we know the arts is decimated, especially freelancers, professional freelancers, we're also able to give them an opportunity to share their work, teach and gain employment through what they do best.
Fantastic. What about the impact on mental health? I know that came up quite a lot, didn't it?
Well, I mean, we all know in this lockdown, it's had an impact on everybody's mental health, but in particular, young people. And I was doing a bit of research, and Young Minds, the National Mental Health Support Organisation for Young People, reported that 83% of young people said that coronavirus pandemic had made their mental health worse. So by engaging the arts as both a creative and therapeutic tool was beneficial to young people, and they can challenge their thoughts and feelings and sort of work through some of the issues that we're facing.
And on to the festival itself, how many events were there?
Well, we managed to deliver 11 events, and that was preceded by a visual arts competition that was open to all schools and colleges in Taunton. And we also commissioned 2 special online works. One was music for film, and the other was a multimedia film. And we also delivered 6 online workshops, and in addition to the pre-festival series of Taika Arts challenges.
You know, I've got some statistics in front of me, so I'm going to pull some of them out from the evaluation. The engagement last year, there were 477 direct participants plus 126 in the visual arts, 46 in the challenge, and 1,352 online views of the workshops. So it actually brought total participant engagement to 1,875 compared with last year, which reached 582. So that was a tremendous uplift, wasn't there? And I know you even managed to get a socially distanced invited audience. So it was just a little window of opportunity, wasn't there, when 354 people were able to family members primarily, weren't they, able to watch some young people performing. And so the total audience engagement came up to 2,236 compared to 643 the year before. I mean, it is astonishing, isn't it, that the virtual world has enabled us to reach so much further than just face-to-face engagement, because in total it came to, I won't go through all the statistics obviously, but it came to 7,715. And then the exposure of being able to go forward and deliver this festival meant that publications like the County Gazette covered us, gave us a lot of coverage, and BBC Somerset, Radio Somerset, they covered a live performance, didn't they, of spoken word, and they can't give us the exact figures, but they said that it was up to 12,000 people will have listened to that. So what a tremendous amount of engagement. I just think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's one thing about being virtual. You can reach a far wider audience, and it wasn't just local audience, it was much further afield. I think we even had some engagement from Australia, I think, as well as so local, national, and international audiences that you can reach. So there is some benefit in having a virtual as well as a live element to a festival, I think.
But so, what about 2021 then, and what's going to be the theme?
Okay, I'll reveal the secret. As we look forward to Taika 2021, and we've got a draft schedule already in place, and we're celebrating the theme of empowerment with young people. And because I consulted with some young people I'm in touch with, and they felt they needed something positive to strive for, and as hopefully we begin to come out of the pandemic and pick up the pieces from the impact it's had, crucially with young people. So the theme, we want young people to be empowered to go forward with their lives, look after themselves, self-care, look after the planet, just work positively and feel that they can regain the power that they've lost through the pandemic.
Okay, and what about partners this year?
Well as the partners that we have built over since the beginning of the festival in 2019, we're also bringing on board new partners, and there's a lot of new collaborations that are taking place. I mean, we've got over 15 partners now on board. I could begin to name them all, but it would take rather a long time. But watch this space, and there's some really new and exciting collaborations with new partners in the pipeline.
Oh, great. So let's hope that our 2021 diaries get more use than 2020s. So what's a diary date for people?
Okay, because the festival is expanding, we've got a lot more, each year it gets bigger and bigger. We're putting it over 2 weekends, which top and tail the half term. So the dates are the 22nd and 23rd at Tacky Morris Arts Centre, and the 29th and 30th October at the Brewhouse Theatre. That's for the live shows, which we're hoping. But we will also have an online element because we want to reach as far afield as possible.
That's been a real learning curve for us, hasn't it? Yeah. The value of having that online element as well as face-to-face. Oh, fantastic. So how do we keep track of developments this year?
Well, you'll be getting updates in our next newsletter, and it'd be good to keep an eye on social media on our Facebook, Twitter and website and Instagram, because we're starting a brand new campaign. And I'd like anybody that wants to be involved in the festival in terms of volunteering to contact me at my email address, which is on one of the slides. And also, I forgot to mention another new and exciting development. We're setting up a Taika crew of young people who will receive some training in arts management that will support the festival in marketing, project management, volunteering, so that they can support the delivery of Taika 21 and gain valuable skills for their future careers at the same time. And we've got 15 places, and we've already filled some of the places, but I'd like to do a call out to any of you that have young people that might want to apply to be part of this initiative going forward, because it'd be a great addition to their CV and build their employability skills as well. So again, contact me via email and I can send you all the details.
That's fantastic. So as well as young people who can join the Taika crew, how can other people get involved this year and moving forward in the 5-year plan for Taika?
Well, they can contact me or contact Arts Taunton, and we also if there's anybody that's got a burning desire to contribute to the festival with young people, that runs a youth group or any activities that might want to be part of the festival, or also to participate in any of the workshops or within the schools, they can get in contact with me as well.
Okay, so we'll be asking people to spread the word, as you say. I guess the other thing, of course, is funding. That's always really important if anyone can actually help us with that. And I actually think we need to thank a few people at this point. Huge thanks to Somerset West and Taunton Council and to the Brown Sword Charitable Foundation, to Dr. Timothy Schroeder and the Schroeder Charitable Trust, Trevor Smallwood, Philip Gibbs, and the many other very kind people and organisations that have actually funded us last year and the year before. I think from Arts Taunton's board's perspective, the other call out would be if anyone would like to be involved in the board activities, supporting Arts Taunton and Tiger in particular, of course, you could be seconded to the board or become a board member. If you've got a real enthusiasm for supporting young people in this way in the arts, which is so crucial nowadays, even more with this pandemic, then please get in touch with us. And the other thing is, we had celebrity endorsement, didn't we, this year from Ian McNeice, but what we're really crying out for is a famous young person to join with us and help promote Taika Festival. So I think if anyone's got any contacts in that respect, please dust off your address books and let us know. So Deborah, I'm just going to end now. I'm really sorry that I can't be at the virtual public meeting, but it's been great talking to you and getting a catch up. And I know that you'll be there to take any questions after this presentation. So thanks ever so much.
Thank
Bye.
you. 2021 Festival.
Thank you, Deborah and Julie. I hope that's given you a very good picture of last year and our plans for this year. As I said, Julie's not with us today, but Deborah is. So if anyone wants to make any points, raise any questions about the festival, about what happened last year or any other aspect of it, please do so. As I mentioned earlier, the best way is to use the chat device on your screens and flag yourself, put your hand up, the virtual hand. So I'll give a few moments while you think of that. Ian McNeice was mentioned there, just to inform everyone that he has, we're delighted to say, agreed to be a patron of Arts Taunton. But we're also, as Julie mentioned, looking for local people who may want to join us in our enterprise this year in one capacity or another, both young people, a young person to present it, to join the board possibly, or to assist us in other ways, or join the volunteers, the so-called Taika crew. If there are no questions, I think we'll move smoothly on. You can always, if you have thoughts as we continue with our other presentations, then don't hesitate to put them down a bit later, and we can pick them up as we go along or at the end of the whole session. So we're going to move on and talk about the work we've been doing at an increasing level in support of and promoting the Council's Garden Town vision. And our trustee, Donald Rice, will be talking to you about this. So over to you, Donald.
Thank you, Tony. Can you just give me a thumbs up, Tony, that you can hear me clearly?
I can.
Excellent. I hope the rest of you can. I'm going to march on. I'm going to be looking down at my notes in front of me, everyone, because I've got quite a lot that I need to say. I'm going to try and rattle through. I've also got my stopwatch going, so I don't bore you all into submission. First of all, I think it's always important that Arts Taunton lays out its stall as to why we get involved in this area. There is a practical reason for this, and that is that the best appointed arts centre or theatre, you name it, in the world, still won't work if there isn't a functioning community and a functioning, effective townscape community sense of civic pride to go with it. But on a philosophical level, we also feel this is in our wheelhouse because architecture is the one art form that we can't turn our back on. We can all ignore, if we wish, literature or painting or sculpture or dance, you name it. We can turn our backs on that, but we can't turn our backs on architecture. It shapes us and we shape it. And that is why we unashamedly wade into this. And wading we have been doing. Just to sum up what we've done in the past, some of you will know that some of you may well have attended the March 2018 Bigger Taunton or Better Taunton seminar. That was organised with Create Streets and hosted by Nicholas Boy-Smith. which was very successful. We were delighted. That was our first foray into this area. And it was followed up in October 2019 by the Build It Beautifully charrette, organised in conjunction with RIBA at Somerset and Somerset West and Taunton itself. That led actually directly and totally organically to the creation of the Design Circle, Taunton Design Circle, which has really been a loose gathering of architects and other interested parties who have a strong interest in design and in Taunton. We've begun to have bi-monthly meetings on this. If anybody wants to find out more about the Taunton Design Circle, please get in touch. But it's terrific. It's been a totally sort of organic and spontaneous offshoot from all of this, and bringing an extra dimension to our expertise. So that's what we've done. Nationally, I'm going to step back now and give a bit of news on the national scene, because that's changing rapidly, and we think very much in a positive direction. There have been a flurry of announcements by Robert Jenrick, the Minister for Housing, Communities and Local Government, easily the most cumbersome ministry name of them all. I don't know how he works with such a cumbersome name, but there we are. And he has been backing the commission which the government reported itself, the Building Better, Building Beautiful Commission. Now, the government got behind this commission in a big way, which is very exciting. And guess what? Our good friend, Nicholas Boy-Smith, was the co-chair with the late Sir Roger Scruton. And at the end of October, the government issued a lengthy, but I think very, very positive initiative to make the report become government policy and planning policy. I'm going to read a section of this out because I think this gives a real idea as to how we can actually get involved. And by we, I mean citizens, not just sort of organisations and charities. This is what the government said. The government is putting support in place for councils and communities to help them set expectations of design quality in their area. This includes the creation of an office for place within the next year, which will pioneer design and beauty within the planning system. The new organisation will draw on Britain's world-class design expertise to support communities to turn their visions of beautiful design into local standards that all new buildings will be required to meet. So this is terrific. This is basically the government looking at their own report and saying, we're going to make it happen. Quite often, good reports come out and nothing ever gets done about it. But we think this is very exciting. And I don't think I'm jumping the gun when I tell you that the council, Somerset West and Taunton, has put itself forward as potentially one of the pilot schemes for the Design Codes initiative. Design Codes is a buzzword at the moment. It's a very exciting thing, we think, because it basically lays down very strict rules as to what is acceptable in planning. And too often the grey areas in this have basically played into the hands of the developers. And we think design codes are a hugely positive step forward. And we're delighted that the council is being very proactive and ahead of the curve on this one. We will have to wait and see how that goes. There will be a huge amount of competition for it, but Arts Taunton is offering a great deal of help and support wherever it can to that. So onto the local scene. Now there's a number of, let's see, I think we maybe can go on to the next slide. I might be able to get an image up for you here. Ah, yes, this is just a little bit of a generic scene here. You'll know where this is. It's on the river. This is just a little bit of an example of the sort of building which we're hoping there will be less of. This is not a particularly dreadful building. It's just one of those things that could be from anywhere and looks rather like it's been dropped from, you know, quite a height into a potentially lovely riverside location. Firepool is on the other side of the river here, and we may well get more of this sort of stuff if we're not careful. The council are making some really interesting noises about design though, and their public realm design guide, which I recommend people have a look at. The draft is on their website. We have made a submission strongly encouraging it, and their district-wide design guide has some absolutely outstanding work in it. So again, we hope that these excellent guides will become enforceable. That's the proof of the pudding as to whether it can actually be enforced. Design codes, like I say, will very much help this sort of thing go from being an idea to being reality. We've also started to find a lot of people are getting in touch with us about specific schemes, specific buildings, specific developments, and wanting us to get involved and to offer support, particularly, I'm afraid to say, in objecting to schemes. And we have been doing that. We've been looking very carefully at particular planning schemes. I think the next slide, if we could have the next slide, we may see, yes, this is, we're jumping ahead a little bit here, but this is the back of the proposal for Debenhams. You can see it's quite a slab. It's quite a frightening proposal, this. If we go on to the next slide, please. I think we may get, yes, this is on the edge of Farnborough. This is the pumping station. This gives a little bit of an idea as to what we're hoping. We're hoping there'll be less of. A brand new, immaculate, well-appointed development on the right, and you'll see that their fencing goes right up to the very handsome listed pumping station here with its, I think that looks like, Tom maybe might be able to tell me, is that white lias or blue lias that it's resting on, that lovely rusticated basement? And this is a fine and beautiful building, but you'll see that the developers have been able to get away with whatever they want on their patch, and meanwhile this fine listed building rots away next door to it. So these are the sorts of things that we want the garden town to be holistic, not just to look at things on a plot by plot basis, but to try and integrate a future for fine buildings like this, which provide character, a sense of place, a sense of historic context, a sense of permanence as well. We'll come on to the collar factory shortly. Could we go on to the next slide, please? Is it coming up any moment now? Ah, yes. So this is an example of what we are hoping to see much less of in the garden town. This is a proposal for the block of flats on Trenchard Way. You just see the scale of this. It's absolutely huge. And again, we have this very fine, handsome industrial landscape in the foreground that is not being utilized enough. I don't want to be, pointing fingers and hauling people over the coals over schemes like this, but one of the big problems, like I say, is that if we have this sort of plot by plot, scheme by scheme approach to the garden town, we're going to end up with some howlingly awful buildings in amongst probably some quite nice stuff. So this is the sort of thing that we've been making representations against, and also trying to help and save good buildings that may need repurposing. And if we go on to the next slide, we should see one of those. Debenhams. Now, I'll be quick on this one because I think lots of you are probably up to date on Debenhams, but the proposal has gone in to demolish it. And that is, we very much hope, not going to happen. We have managed to conjure up support against its demolition from the 20th Century Society, from the Ancient Monument Society, and the Southwest Heritage Trust put in a superb representation against it being demolished. It's a fine, handsome building. It deserves a future. The building that is proposed in its place, I think, if we go on to the next slide. Yeah, this is just one view of it. You saw one earlier on. It's enormous. I mean, it really is vastly overbearing. It's totally inappropriate. We're fighting it tooth and nail, and we very much hope that the current Debenhams building can be repurposed. If we go on to the next slide, we'll come on to another fine building that we want to find a new, sorry, that's Debenhams again. You see the scale of it. If you look to the far left and far right, those are the existing buildings, the HSBC. You see how big it is. Yeah, okay, we can go on to the next slide. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the end of my talk now as I'm over my limit already. Could I have the next slide? Here we go, the collar factory. Just a really positive piece of news on this one. The landlord has paid for new windows to go in this building, which will hugely help it being watertight and being in better condition for repurposing. This is a listed building. It's right next to the cricket ground, as some of you know. And again, I think will be a key part of the fire pool's future when plans for that come through. Thank you. Sorry, I've gone a tiny bit over my time. If there's any questions, I'll be very happy to answer any now or further on. That was a little bit of a jumble, but there's a lot going on. And if anyone needs to or would like to get in touch with Arts Taunton regarding any of that, and indeed any schemes or buildings that you think we should be looking at, just let us know. Over to you, Tony, I think. There we go.
Thank you for that, Donald. And let me just reiterate how important it is that in taking forward all these proposals, or objecting to them in some cases, that we're speaking for all of you. We're speaking for the public of Taunton. And we're very keen that to keep in touch with you, to hear your views, and for you to get involved if you're so minded. And do please take the opportunity today to put questions to Donald or to any of us about that aspect of our work. We are, of course, working closely with the council in all of this, and some of our work also with Create Streets, the organisation that Donald referred to, looking at some of these big development schemes on the outskirts of the city centre, of the town centre, Monkton Heathfield and so forth, where we're trying to influence the plans for the next phase with input from Create Streets.
Yeah, so Tony, I'll just say one more thing. Nicholas Boys-Smith, the founder and director of Create Streets, is the new chair of the Office of Place that the government has just announced. So we have friends in high places, and we knew them when they were this big.
Thank you. So I think we'll move on to ask our founder, director and trustee, Kit Chapman, to talk to us about the landmark artwork that we've been planning over some years.
Yes, hello everybody. It's good to be with you again after all this time. Some of you, most of you, I hope, will remember Creechbarrow Hill and our ambition to see a landmark, an iconic artwork at the top of this wonderful hill on the outskirts of Taunton, on land owned by the Ministry of Defence and the home of the United Kingdom Hydrographic Office. And actually we spent some years working with them positively, until a moment came when I'm afraid they pulled the rug for good security reasons, and we had to pull out, which was a great shame. But there we are. But this did not deter us in any way as to what we wanted to do and to the way forward. We wanted to see an iconic artwork for Taunton in the future. So pausing there, why do we want a landmark artwork for Taunton? I think it's important just to reflect on that. The reason is pretty blunt, frankly. The town over the last 20 or more years has lost its way. It's lost its edge compared to Exeter to the south and Bristol to the north and other towns and cities around. We have become invisible. We've lost our way. We are little more than a punctuation mark on the M5 as motorists rush headlong to the coastlines and resorts of Devon and Cornwall. We are no longer a destination that we once were. We want to make Taunton visible again. That's what we want to do. The town is a lovely town, a historic town. It's got lots going for it, as we all know, and that includes its beautiful hinterland, the Quantocks and the Blackdowns and Exmoor and the Somerset levels. So getting into this, let's just look at one or two examples of what I mean here. If you think of New York City, you immediately have that icon, the Statue of Liberty, that immediately invites you in, that encourages you to visit this great city. In Paris, of course, it's the Eiffel Tower. And in London, of course, it has to be Big Ben. Moving further southwest, Here is Brunel's magnificent suspension bridge across the Avon Gorge. Again, a symbol of Bristol's mercantile past, and something that is recognizably Bristol. Further west into Somerset, and everyone knows the Glastonbury Tor, another great symbol of the West Country. And this is when I sometimes get really frustrated when I watch BBC Points West in the evenings and the credits start rolling and you see Glastonbury Tor and you see the Clifton Suspension Bridge. There has never once been an image of Taunton, an image representing Taunton. And I want to see that change, frankly. It's wrong. Now, getting, if you like, more modern, to look at some modern icons. Again, you will all know this one, the Angel of the North, a symbol of Gateshead's industrial past and its transition into an information age, the Angel. That makes a great statement for Gateshead, which has enjoyed a great renaissance as a centre for arts and culture. And the other one, and perhaps my favourite, the Kelpies, these magnificent metal horses in Falkirk, which are at the gateway of the Forth and Clyde canals and the waterways in Scotland. The Kelpies were mythological creatures with the power, strength, and energy of 100 horses. And they do represent, they are a symbol of Scotland's horse-powered heritage, if you will, in the days when horses pulled wagons and barges and coal ships along the waterways in the surrounding area. Both the Angel of the North and the Kelpies are, as you can see, totemic landmarks that echo the location's historical and cultural past, beacons that tell you where you are and invite you in. And so we need Taunton to do something similar. And let's go back a little bit and just have a hint, a taste of Taunton's past. This is a view of Taunton with the River Taunton in the early part of the 19th century. And the most distinctive representation, if you will, are its church towers, and in particular, St. Mary Magdalene's tower. And here it is. This is really quite, an absolute wonderful, grand tower that speaks for Taunton. And I'd just like to pause for 1 second here to read the few words written in a wonderful book called The Vale of Taunton Past, written by my fellow trustee, sits on the Board of Arts Taunton, Tom Maybury. And in his book, he said this about St. Mary Magdalene. The grandest and greatest of English church towers, prodigious in its scale and ambition, it remains a triumphant expression of civic pride, merchant wealth, and religious belief, and an artistic achievement to rank with the finest of the English Middle Ages. The key word for me here is civic pride. And I think, as Donald hinted in his talk, civic pride is an attribute that seems to have gone out of fashion and we've lost, and we need to reclaim it and speak more boldly. The good burghers of Taunton, back in the 16th century, erected this magnificent tower as a symbol for Taunton, and we should be proud of it. Moving on to today, and St. Mary's Tower today, here is the townscape. It's as impressive as it always has been. The only difference being, of course, that it's not that close to the M5 motorway and the edges of Taunton, and can't be seen from that far away. So we want a major Taunton landmark that is visible, but is also an example of the of what Taunton itself represents. So with the loss of Creechbarrow Hill, we have been looking very closely at the M5 motorway and an alternative location, and here it is, of where we might put a new landmark artwork somewhere along the M5 corridor. So we went to our partners in this. This is LHC Architects, Landscape Urban Architects in Exeter, and Hydrock, who are commercial partners of ours, commercial sponsors. And they looked at potential locations where we might put our artwork. Now, Pam or Susie, I don't know whether you can point to any of these, but what we've looked at all of them. You can see Taunton on the left, and round Junction 25, you'll also see the Nexus entrance, the Park and Ride there, and so on, those areas there. These are, and others as well, these are prime sites with high levels of visibility along the M5. There's good access to particularly Nexus and the Park and Ride, which is an elevated landscape, an opportunity to incorporate with the developments there an iconic artwork and potential generous space for a large scale artwork in these locations. So essentially that's where we are at the moment. What we are now doing with LHC Architects and with Hydrock is analyzing these quite closely because we want to create a visual hierarchy and the pros and cons of each location. That is what we're doing at the moment. This is only the start of what is going to be an extremely long process, frankly. When we've done that, we're then going to have to get into a major consultation process. It is very, very important to us that the town, the people of Taunton, have a sense of ownership for this, and we build a civic pride around it and around the town to get us into feasibility studies, business plans, all the rest of it. And there's the whole funding process to go through. But as we progress, eventually we will appoint a creative producer with an expert panel to select artists. They will be shortlisted to 5 or thereabouts to create their designs and maquettes. We'll hold a public exhibition in Taunton and see where we go from there. And then the main event would be raising the money to create something, I hope, quite fantastic. So that's it. That is where we are with this great artwork. It's an exciting project, and I hope it will do what we wanted to do, to make Taunton visible, to tell people, look, you're at Taunton, stop, invite you in, and have a look at what we can offer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kit. Very inspiring. I hope you are all inspired by that. And I hope you've also got some points or questions that you want to take up with us as a result of it. We've got one question here from Trish Caller, if she wants to put her hand up already, if she wants to speak now.
Well, I had to put my hand up because the chat is actually disabled for anybody else in the meeting at the moment. I wasn't able to send a message through the chat facility. I wasn't trying to be a glory grabber, I promise. Without holding a gun to Kit's head, I've lost him. Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. Kit, what? I promise I won't hold you to this, but the roadmap to the art installation sounds like it's got an awful lot of steps and hoops to jump through. Is there any idea of the total length of time? Would that be 5, 6, 10 years, 15 years?
Trish, you know, I can't answer that. It's going to take a while. I mean, it took the Angel of the North forever. The Angel of the North opened in 1998. I mean, for them, I think it was about 10 years. Others may correct me. I mean, but I mean, it was a long time where actually it was Gateshead council who wanted to do it, but it did take a long time to get there, certainly. So who knows? We've already been going 3 years or more, but I'm afraid a full start with Creech Barrow Hill, but never mind. I actually think we've got a better site here, or sites to look at.
Yeah, it looks like it, and I wish you all the best luck in the world with it. I'm just impatient.
So am I, Trish, don't worry, but you know, we've got to go through these hoops. I hope I'm still alive to see it.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you, Trish. Any other comments or questions?
There's one more that's come in from John Cullen, and he's asking, is there a budget for this artwork envisaged?
Well, I guess there are really two stages of this. First, there is raising the money, which I think we can probably do quite easily, to do all the preparation work to the stage of engaging a short list of artists and selecting an artist. And then the major one is, once we know where we are, raising a monumental sum of money to do that. And that is why consultation and getting the local community on board is so important. I mean, the Arts Council, for example, have to be a prime prospect for us, but they're not going to look at us unless we've been through all these hoops, and unless we demonstrate there is a real desire and market for this to happen in Taunton. So yeah, it's gonna take time, and that's going to be fundamental key to this whole process. Tom, I don't know, I defer to you on all these things. I mean, do you have anything that you might want to add to that? But it is going to take a long time. I see it done in 2 stages.
Tom, you're muted.
Okay. It's all right, it's coming back.
I think you set out the steps very clearly, Kit, and it will be a long process. It needn't necessarily take 10 years, because I think a lot of thinking has already been done and a lot of gathering of support in principle. And I think that is half the battle, but you're quite right that maintaining and developing public engagement with the concept and the idea will be critical. With a fair wind, I think it can move forward quite quickly through the conceptual stages, but as you say, and as the question implied, it's going to be the real challenge will be raising the money. But that will be much easier if there really is a strong body of support behind the idea.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone. Then I hope you'll stay with us as we continue with this noble endeavour. I'm going to move on to our final item. It's about our new small grant scheme that we started last year called Art at the Heart. It's a scheme in which a competitive scheme to support local arts organisations or local artists with particular creative projects, either new ones we hope, or sometimes ones they already have in the pipeline. And we awarded 2 grants last year to the Bluebird Theatre Company and the other to Go Create. And we have their representatives with us today, I hope and believe. First of all, Bluebird, to talk about their project and proposal.
Yes, hello. So I am Sasha Herriman, and I am one of the directors of the Bluebirds Theatre Company, and I'm here at the meeting today with my co-director Amy Hardwick, who will just speak after me. So we were very generously given some money by Art at the Heart, Arts Taunton, to go towards a project which we've been developing to go out into the community. And our project is all based around an image that you can see on your screens now, which is the Popera House. As an organisation, a community interest theatre company dedicated to getting professional theatre right out into the heart of the community, we were very lucky to get funding from the Arts Council to build a mobile pop-up theatre, a Popera House, so you can kind of see that it's pop and it's opera. It's to take professional theatre, to take professional music out and about, to get it right to people's front doors. And we have been developing shows to go in the Popera House. We did some shows last summer, and we were very, very keen to develop our first actual opera, to popularise opera and to take it out to people so that everybody can feel that they've got some kind of hold on what it's about. I feel very strongly that opera is for everybody. It's a lot of fun. People just need to find a way in. So if we can just go on to our next slide, please. And you will see another image of our Popera House. And we have a couple of clips of music. If you just hang on before you play them. So we're doing Wagner's entire ring cycle, which is about 15 hours of music, in just over an hour. We're going to do it with 2 opera singers, a host of brand new amazing puppets made by Forkbeard Fantasy, a local theatre company. And we're having music rearranged by a local Somerset composer called Martin Emsley. The whole idea is that we can bring Wagner to everybody, and everybody is going to go away loving it and humming it. We've rearranged the music, so some people, if you're proper Wagner lovers, you might be horrified. I guess I hope you are, because it's kind of fun. We want people to enjoy this music, and we're going to pull it apart a bit. If you could just play me those 2 clips, Pam, that'd be amazing. The theft scene music, and then go straight into our jazzy Wagner theme. They're very short. Now then go into the jazz Wagner. We'll have a quick blast of that. That's great. I think we kind of get the idea. So, as you can hear, there is Wagner in there somewhere. It's well hidden, and we've given it a kind of a jazz overtone. We're using that as part of our show, which is called the Reduced Ring Cycle, and it will be a lot of fun for people to actually go to and see in our Popera House. If we can go on to the next slide now, that would be lovely. And our Wagner is following us all the way along. And our next one is that. There we go. These are a few images of the show. So these are the designs, again, which local artists have been able to create for us. You saw just back there, there was some, there we go, yeah. Those are some of the drawings that have been done by our director showing what the costumes are going to be like. So those are the pictures along the top. You've got Brunhilde, you've got Siegfried, you've got a crazy dwarf at the bottom there, and a dragon. So we have the sketches, and then we have the actual puppets that you can see that have been created by Forkbeard Fantasy. Let's go on to the next image as well, because we can see a couple of those puppets in action. And Pam, if you just play each one of those after the other, they're very short again.
Go. Oh, it looks really good at the nose. Yeah, it looks really good at the nose.
And then if you can play the second one, that'd be lovely. So that one there, we have Fafner, which is the first one, the dragon. That's in his infant stages, so he's going to be absolutely enormous, and he's going to appear right over the top of our opera house. And then you've got the puppets of Birdie, a little creature who flies around and sings songs and warns of terrible things that are about to happen. So that's just a snapshot of what the reduced ring cycle is about. If you can just go on to our next slide now, that would be lovely too. So it gives you an idea about what the Bluebirds Theatre Company is all about. We like to take great artwork, we like to bring it to everybody to be able to share our enjoyment of it and to share our love of music, to share our love of theatre. None of this would be possible if it weren't for our funders. Who enable us to work with really good regional artists to actually co-create a really important piece of work. So we have the reduced ring cycle. Last summer we did The Empress and the Nightingale, which was our adaptation of Hans Christian Andersen. We also have another jazz musical which we are working on, which will be available to go out into primary schools as well. That's The Musicians of Bremen. I'm going to pass over quickly to my co-director, Amy Hardwick, who can tell you a little bit about specifically our community engagement. So over to you, Amy. Thanks very much.
Hi. So just to say, I don't know about you, but over the last year, I have absolutely missed theatre, cultural events. I mean, I know we've been able to do some bits, but it's really exciting that we think actually this, although we wanted to take this on tour last year, it just wasn't possible in terms of even being able to rehearse. But we are absolutely thrilled that we're going to be able to take some pieces of theatre out. And because it's an outdoor theatre, people are less nervous about it because it's outdoors and in terms of breathability, etc., and being able to socially distance. Alongside doing shows, we also do a lot of outreach stuff, and again, this would not have been possible without our funders, including Arts Taunton. We've been taking our show and some puppetry workshops out into the community, working with families and adults from disadvantaged areas, giving them the opportunity to work together as a group to create their own little show using shadow puppets. We also have been doing lots of singing workshops and beautiful family workshops, looking with early years music and being able for people to be able to still socialize in that time just after you've had a baby. It's difficult enough as it is to be able to get out there and be able to socialize, but in the lockdown it's been impossible. So we've been thrilled to be able to support young families by taking our lessons online so they can build that community again. And that's all from me. Thank you, Arts Taunton.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Sasha and Amy. Can I just ask you one question? When can we expect to see you and where? Can you give us any idea of what your schedule may be? We understand the uncertainties.
Yes, definitely. So we are now aiming to get the reduced ring cycle and the Musicians of Bremen, which is our jazz musical, out into secondary schools and primary schools during the summer term. Realistically, we're probably going to be performing in the schools in the second part of the summer term. And we also hope to be able to do a launch in the centre of Taunton on Castle Green, again in that latter part of the summer term. And we've been asked to go to various different secondary and primary schools already. We're just waiting for dates now that we've actually got those dates from the government saying that we can go out and perform in the Opera House.
But we've started rehearsing already. We rehearse on Zoom, which has its challenges, as you can imagine. But everyone's been given their scripts and their pieces of music. So the idea is that as soon as we're allowed to get into in-person rehearsals, we'll be there and we'll already know our lines and we'll be there to make the work. So as soon as we're allowed, we can get out into the community and show off our performances and show us the Opera House.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And we look forward to it, and we'll keep you all posted through our social media and other means. So I'm going to move to Go Create now, the other beneficiary of a Art at the Heart grant, and to Liz Hutchin, a director of Go Create and a trustee of Arts Taunton. Liz.
Hello. I'm sorry, I may disappear from time to time. I'm slightly challenged by a puppy, but I will do my best. Yeah, at Go Create, our overarching mission is to make the arts in all their glorious forms accessible to all. And so our aim is to engage a wide and varied audience in the celebration of the creative and performing arts. It's the reason why Go Create exists, and the reason why since 2015, we've been producing Taunton Live Arts Festivals, which are free to join in. We had planned to incorporate Taunton's first Pride celebrations and March under the umbrella of Taunton Live in 2020. So it would be a festival of arts, creativity, and inclusivity. However, we all know what happened to 2020. So our Pride in Art project was conceived as a direct response to COVID. It was designed to genuinely engage with our local LGBTQ+ community, their supporters, allies, and to provide an art project over time which would produce practical visual outcomes, some new hand-painted banners for 2021 in the absence of our ability to put on Pride in 2020. We thought to deliver the first 6 months of the project in isolation, online via Zoom, and then to deliver the together side of it as a face-to-face, as practical workshops in which the hanging banners would be created collaboratively. The Art at the Heart funding programme has enabled community inclusivity to progress via the arts, even in the midst of the pandemic. So the project was first launched at Go Create's Creative Club in June 2020, which was online. It was launched to a diverse group of interested LGBTQ supporters, allies, to artists, all who joined us for a Q-Art session to view an exhibition of Southwest queer artists' work presented by local artist Zara Hockham. We followed up this initial launch with a social media campaign which brought over 1,000 interactions. 150 people visited the landing page and 54 people signed up as interested. However, as is often the case from the many expressions of interest, a small proportion only fully engaged. But we did feel that we'd opened up the opportunity to as wide a field as possible. Our core group has settled at 12 dedicated members with an age range from 20 to 62. And it's made up of LGBTQ community members, parents, allies, and supporters. So the first 6 monthly sessions were almost entirely restricted to the online world, with Go Create artists offering skills, practical advice, and creative journey guidance. Initial Zoom meetings were centered around getting to know each other and building trust, as well as establishing a process-based approach to the canvas painting. Ideas have been developed in sketchbooks and specially provided by the funding, and encouragement to look at other artists' work and other artists' work from our other community art projects, which were on display at the Brewhouse and online. We've all been finding our creativity somewhat stifled in the 2D world of online communication. But we've tried to inspire our group to develop their creative practice and to document their journeys in their sketchbooks. October saw confirmation of matched funding from the Equalities team at Somerset County Council. And so we could then forge ahead and purchase really good quality art materials and distribute these with our pre-primed canvases. But for Jenny and I, our apprenticeship approach to working with a group makes it really important to work alongside other people, to demonstrate techniques, to build confidence and so on, especially with our previously declared non-creatives. So when Company Spaces let us use their fantastic space for a socially distanced meeting, we were able to first offer our first face-to-face session for project members in October. We, however, broadcast simultaneously over Zoom for those who couldn't attend in person. And we also filmed the demonstrations we were doing over on Facebook live to our closed group. So in October, the canvases were well underway. Materials were posted out to those people not able to get together, and safe collections were organised to ensure everyone could continue with their canvases and continue to feel part of this very special community. We are so aware that this project has been an integral link between LGBTQI groups and individuals, and it's added that crucial sense of community that's needed during difficult times. And as members have grown in skills and confidence, they've also begun to share their work. We've had over 24 canvases now. We haven't actually physically seen them all. And when I've put them together to make the banner that I'm going to show you, it is all virtual at the moment. But this was by Tom, one of our young adults. He said he ended up focusing on how pride and being part of the community can actually help your negative feeling, to sort of help get over those demons. And they're like the little cartoons that are trying to get out, or they're either interpreted sort of hiding, saying, is it safe to come out? Or just there being part of the community. And this is by Ness, one of our other group members, beautifully created, trying to represent the colours of the various flags, but also linking in these crucially important words: strength, respect, protect, community, inspire, encourage, freedom, courage, equality, pride, accept, understand, validate, connect, and probably the most important of all for us all, love. Now, one of the things we were trying to encourage the artists and people who hadn't been creative before to do was to put something of themselves into the canvases, so that when we put them all together, we're actually saying, you know, these are representations of us as individuals and how we fit into our community, however we actually identify within the community. And this was Lucy's, and you can see she's tried to include all sorts of themes important to her. She felt the result was a bit chaotic, but so much was going on, and she has a very busy life. She's a teaching assistant, and so the British Sign Language symbols were very important to her, as well as the fact that she's a very proud Pride ally. And so we can see there lots of things that reflect her personality and who she is. And this final canvas, this is one of the canvases I have to say I was absolutely bowled over by, because this was done by Stephen, who professed not to have an artistic bone in his body. However, when given the materials, encouragement, etc., he produced this amazing image of Quentin Crisp, and he sent us an email saying that, you know, as it's LGBT History Month, he felt it was important to look at a character who was important to the history of the movement. And so Quentin was his choice. And the quote he's included: "I am seen and heard, therefore I am. The more often and the more clearly that I am seen and heard, the more fully I feel that I'm alive." So these are just a small selection. The group members continued to record their thoughts and images in their sketchbooks, and we've got 24 completed squares so far. These will actually be physically joined together to form a banner, which will head the parade, hopefully in July 2021. But this virtual banner brings together all of us who've been taking part in this group, everyone's voice to be heard as we sort of shout proudly, "This is me." So we'd hoped to make the second 6 months of Pride in Art exciting, vibrant, collaborative community workshop sessions. And January was supposed to see the group coming together to begin to design and create the new Pride hanging banners, which will adorn Taunton streets alongside the 100 hand-painted banners that Go Create artists produced back in 2015. And you can see on the screen one of the examples of the banners hanging in Hammett Street. So we've been coming up with ideas. The different group members have been making suggestions, and we're hoping now to actually get round to creating these. It's been a challenge to discover ways of collaborating safely and practically to create these banners, but we forge on. It's a truly inspirational group. The project has actually achieved so much so far. And at just over the halfway point, we're working and developing together in a wonderful atmosphere of support and acceptance of whatever each individual brings to the table, or should I say to the easel. We've got lots of comments or several comments from the group in Arts Taunton's newsletter, which just show how important projects like this really are, uniting the wider community members under a banner of acceptance. So we're indebted to Arts Taunton and the Art at the Heart programme, which provided half of the necessary funds to grant, and also along with a grant from Somerset County Council's Equalities Group. We've drawn the match funding from them, and the remainder of the Somerset County Council grant will just go to support other aspects of Pride 2021. I'd just like to finish with this little bit. I knew that it was going to be a really good project. Everything about it was looking really promising. Deepening our commitment to inclusivity, strengthening our links with the community, creating some super new artwork and banners. All of this I was prepared for, I was planning for it. What I was not prepared for as a co-organiser, planning sessions and sourcing materials and so on, was actually my own personal journey. I'm also a member of this amazing group, participating in the project, and as a result, I'm currently exploring what it means to be the mum of a daughter who has faced negative comments, criticism and questioning, even bullying, for not only being an elite sportswoman, but for preferring girls to boys. I too am so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Lovely. And I think both those projects show that a little money can go a long way. And it's great to see it. And we're delighted with what we've done with this scheme last year. We're very keen to have another round of funding for the coming year, but we don't know yet whether we will be able to do so. And I see that someone has asked a question, John Cullum. I will turn to you, John, if you put your hand up and we can find you. You can ask the question yourself.
John has left the building, but we did actually mention it in the last round anyway about the funding.
Is there a budget for this artwork envisaged? Is that in relation to the Pride artwork, or is it the?
No. It was to do with the.
Was it the Heart Grants?
Yes. No, to do with the iconic building.
Ah, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes. Well, we answered that earlier. So we've overrun a little, and I apologise for that. You haven't asked us any difficult questions. There's still a last opportunity to do so. So put your thinking hats on quickly, because I'm going to hand over to Kit for a final word before we close. Kit.
Unmute, Kit.
Kit, you're mute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you. And being a bit of a dinosaur in this era of high technology, congratulations to Pam and Susie for making this kind of work. Extraordinary magic. Well done. And thank you very much to all of you. There are 54 of you remaining in the room. And I have one last message, and I'm going to be very blunt about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we need money. These are tough times for everybody, I know, and not least the charity sector. But you've heard our pitch this afternoon and all the good news that has gone with it. But if we begin with Taika, Taika in 2019, which we first launched, and 2020 we covered. We have a major funder in the shape of Andrew Brownsword and his charitable foundation. Well, we match funded his contribution, which was really quite substantial. It is highly unlikely that we will match fund his contribution this year, 2021. However, the good news is he's sticking by us, but we're unlikely, highly unlikely to match fund it. You've heard Donald on the Garden Town. He is under considerable pressure and has done some amazing work, and we're looking to get some assistance for him in trying to promote Taunton Garden Town and the huge amount of work that goes with it. I've already spoken about the artwork, but finally, if you take art at the heart, you've heard two excellent presentations, but ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you, it is highly unlikely at this stage that we will be able to repeat this exercise and offer art at the heart and financial assistance to local artists this year. Our situation is precarious, seriously precarious. I must thank all of you that already donate, that donate regularly. We are hugely grateful to you, but we need more people. And I would ask you, if you could, please go to our donations page on the website and see if you can donate a small sum, whatever you can do, but regularly, perhaps once a month would be great. This is really quite important. In addition to that, we need help. We're getting some help for Donald in his quest, but we need more help. We need help with the funding. If there are any of you out there that think that they can assist me and others in our fundraising efforts, please let me know through the email address. We need funding, we need money, we need people to help us, and I am appealing to all of you just to donate a small regular sum of money to keep us going. We're up against it this year, as I know are lots of other people. And that includes some of our great philanthropists who are having to trim their giving considerably as well. Thankfully, I'm glad to say that Andrew Brownsword is not, but their situation is difficult as well. Anyway, I've said enough. We need help, and we appeal to you, all of us, to help us create a great Arts Taunton and move Taunton forward. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kit. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. The newsletter, our latest newsletter, is hot off the press, and you can access it on the chat screen. And
can I just add, Chairman, excuse me for butting in, but if anyone wants a hard copy, a printed copy of the newsletter, then please let me know, and I will post one to anyone who sends me their postal address.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us. We're delighted to have had so many with us throughout this whole session. And as I say, sorry that it's slipped over a bit. We'll do it again, but stay in touch with us, please, as we go along. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.